Screen is visible to all?
Yes, sir.
Visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be handling the subject microcontroller this time for you all. The subject code of microcontroller is 18EE52. Right. So basically, microcontroller is nothing but a true computer on a chip. As the name indicates, it is nothing but a controller. Right. So the name itself indicates that it is meant for controlling operations. Okay. So that is now the name has come to it as a microcontroller, and it is defined as a true computer on a chip. Right? Then we'll see what is microcontroller, what are its parts, how is it different from microprocessor or a computer in detail in our next slides. In the past decades, we have seen the introduction of a technology that has changed the way in which we analyze and control the world around us. There was a parallel development between computer architecture development and the integrated circuit fabrication. That is, the computer architecture and IC fabrication, they came into existence at the same time. The computer architecture was being designed, and at the same time, the IC chip fabrication was also taking place simultaneously. Microprocessor, that is a 4-bit 4004 IC, came into existence for the first time in the year 1971 by the company known as Intel Corporation. Intel was the first company to introduce a microprocessor, that is a 4-bit microprocessor 4004 in the year 1971. And as the microprocessor was invented by Intel, the other companies started manufacturing advanced microprocessors or the microprocessors on a similar lines, and by the end of 1970s, that is by the late 1970s, there were about half a dozen microcontrollers that were microprocessors that were developed by the late 1970s. So what is microprocessor? Before going into the details of microcontroller, one has to understand what is microprocessor. Right? You might have studied this in your first year level also. Just I will give the highlights of what is a microprocessor. It is a byproduct of development of the microcontroller. So byproduct of microprocessor development was the microcontroller. Right? So as the microprocessor was developed first, and then came the microcontroller. So during the process of development of the microprocessor, there was the development of microcontroller. Fine. Here, just I will give the example of the sugar being processed. So you know that when the sugar is being processed in the sugar industry, the byproduct of sugar in the what is being what is being extracted, right, from the sugar cane, right, the byproducts are molasses and bagasse. So similarly, on the similar lines, the byproduct of microprocessor development was the microcontroller. So what it indicates, what is meant by a byproduct of microprocessor development is a microcontroller. It means that the fabrication techniques and the programming concepts that is used for microprocessor can also be used for the microcontroller. The manufacturing techniques, what is for fabrication? The manufacturing techniques. Whatever are the methods and approaches used for manufacturing the microprocessor, and whatever is the programming techniques that are used for microprocessor, the same can also be applied for the microcontroller also. So one is aware that something is responsible for the working of washing machines, microwave ovens, elevators, and other articles. Right? So here we have washing machines, right? And then the microwave ovens, elevators. These are a few of the examples of the microcontrollers. We know that a washing machine, it works in a specific way, right? When you are asked to rotate, it will rotate. When you are asked to stop, it will stop. It will rotate with some speed, right? You are controlling the washing machine. Similarly, in the microwave oven also you are you are baking the food materials, food products, right? You are keeping at a certain temperature, you are controlling the temperature of the oven. So there is also some controlling process involved. And in the elevator, the lift system, it moves up and down. So if you want to move to the first floor, you can move to the first floor, or you can move to second floor or third or whatever floor you want to move, you can move, or you can also come down to the ground floor also. So like this, these are the products in which some controlling process is involved. Right? Not only the controlling part, but these are also intelligent and programmable. Note that these are also intelligent and programmable. Intelligent means they are performing operations, precise operations, very accurate operations, and not only that, we can use them according to our requirements. We can use them according to our need. So that is what is meant by programmable. So these are few of the applications of the microcontroller. Microprocessor and microcontroller. Let me define microprocessor. A microprocessor refers to a general purpose digital chip commonly used as CPU, that is central processing unit of a computer system. So how do we define microprocessor? A microprocessor is a general purpose digital chip commonly used as a CPU of a computer system. So note that it is used as central processing unit. It is a processing unit of a computer system. Here is the block diagram of microprocessor. So what all parts you can see here? Yes, please. So the different parts of microprocessors are ALU, registers, control unit. So this forms the microprocessor. And apart from these parts, we also require output devices, input devices, that is they are in common called as IO devices. The system bus consists of address bus and the data bus, then the RAM and ROM memory. Memory are of two types, the RAM memory and the ROM memory. So as you can see in the first block in the leftmost side, that is microprocessor, it is consisting of the ALU, it is arithmetic and logical unit, registers. So arithmetic and logical unit is meant for performing arithmetical and logical operations, right? Then registers meant for storing of information, storing of data. Control unit performs the controlling operations. That is at what time the data has to be stored, right? How much should be the time gap between one operation and next operation. So all that is decided by the control unit. So that is the function of the microprocessor. So apart from these blocks, that is this microprocessor, we require not only the microprocessor, but other blocks such as input devices, output devices, RAM, ROM, and system bus to make this microprocessor functional. So is it only possible that only microprocessor can function? No, it's not possible, is it not? So we require some input devices to input the data to microprocessor. Then what the microprocessor will do, it will process the information, it will do performing operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, logical operations, right? Logical OR, NOT, NAND, and other operations. Right? It will process the information, and then if we want to see what is the output, what is the outcome. So if you want to check the output, then we have to have certain output devices. So this information, whatever is being processed, is sent to the output devices. So at the output devices, we are able to observe what is the output being obtained. So this is about the input device and the output devices. For example, the input devices that we are applying is the keyboard. Right? We have the keyboard to input the information. Then output devices, for example, the monitor, the screen on which we can check the output. Is it not? Or the display, LCD display, check the output, what we have obtained. Then we have the system bus. System bus consists of the data bus and the address bus. Data bus is meant for carrying the data or the information. Okay, data information, data. Then address bus is meant for carrying the address information. For example, whenever you are storing any information in a memory, we require both the address and the data. Is it not? So it is not possible only we can store the data. We have to store the data in a particular memory location. So then after storing the data in a particular memory location, we can read the data from that memory location, or we can write the data into that memory location. Correct? Then we have RAM and ROM memory. RAM memory is random access memory. Random access memory, it is a volatile memory, as you are aware of it. That is, the data stored will be evaporated once the power supply is off. So RAM memory is a temporary memory. Though it is a read-write memory, we can read the information and also write the information, but it is a temporary memory. Whereas ROM memory is permanent memory, wherein we can only read the data from the ROM memory, but we cannot write it. Correct? So these are the different blocks of microprocessor. So what we have understood from this block diagram of microprocessor, only the microprocessor block alone cannot function, but we require some other peripherals. So from other accessory devices such as IO devices, memory devices, and system bus to make the microprocessor to operate or to make it functional. Block diagram of microprocessor. The user who needs a general purpose microprocessor must add RAM, ROM, IO ports, and timers externally to make it functional. So the user who requires a general purpose microprocessor, he must add certain peripherals or IO devices, accessory devices such as RAM, ROM, IO ports, and timers to make it functional. So we say that microprocessor is not a true computer on a chip. What is the reason for this? Yes, please. So the reason is here only the microprocessor alone cannot function. We require certain other devices. We have to add certain other devices, certain other chips, certain other blocks to make it functional. So we say that microprocessor is not true computer on a chip. A small or very large systems can be configured around the CPU. So in the microprocessor, we can add certain blocks, we can remove certain blocks, right? So we can configure the CPU, we can by adding or removing certain blocks. That is, we can make a system larger or smaller. For example, we require certain amount of memory, so we can add that amount of memory, right? That is, certain amount of memory can be added. If you want larger memory, we can add large memory. If you want small memory, we can add certain small amount of memory, right? So that according to our requirement, we can configure the CPU. So that is the advantage of the microprocessor. That is, microprocessor is, yes, it is flexible. So microprocessor is flexible. Instruction set of microprocessor is mainly processing intensive. So the instruction set of microprocessor is meant mainly for processing the information, though it can perform other operations, but it is mainly meant for processing the information. Processing means, that's what I told, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, logical operations, right? All arithmetic operations and logical operations. That is what we call as the processor or the processing operations. Microprocessor is commonly used as a CPU in computer system to perform the task of processing the information. Yes, microprocessor is commonly used as the CPU in computer system to perform the task of processing the information. Next, we will see the block diagram of computer. So all of us are aware of computer, is it not? So which are the different blocks of computer? We have input block, it's a keyboard or a mouse to enter the data. Then we have the other blocks, the intermediate blocks such as arithmetic and logical unit to perform the arithmetical operations and logical operations. Memory unit, it may be a RAM memory or ROM memory to store the information. Then control unit to control the information, that is movement of data between the memory and other blocks, controlling of information. CPU, so it all consists of the arithmetical and logical unit, memory and the control unit. So the CPU block as a whole, it consists of control unit, arithmetical and logical unit, and the memory unit. Then next comes the output block. Output block is nothing but to display the information or to display the results, whatever we have obtained. So those results can be observed and they can be verified, right? We can check those results and come to the conclusion whether they're correct or not. So all that can be done with the help of the output devices. So output device is nothing but the monitor or the screen or the display screen or the LCD on which we can observe the output, right? Next, we'll slowly move on to the microcontroller. A microcontroller is a true computer on a chip. See the difference. A microprocessor is a one in which it is not called as a true computer on a chip. Even though it has a CPU, we have to add other blocks such as RAM, ROM, IO ports, timer, serial communication port. So it is not called as a true computer on a chip. Whereas a microcontroller is called as a true computer on a chip, whose design includes not only the microprocessor but also other features, that is RAM, ROM, IO port, timer, and serial com port to make the computer completely functional. Okay, so this is the difference between main difference between microprocessor and microcontroller. We'll see that in the next figure. So remember, a microcontroller is a true computer on a chip whose design includes not only the microprocessor, that is CPU, what we call, but also other features required to make complete computers such as RAM, ROM, IO port, timer, serial com port. Here comes the block diagram of, first one is the block diagram of microprocessor, and the second one, what you're seeing at the bottom side, is the block diagram of the microcontroller. So in the first diagram, the block diagram of the microprocessor, there is a CPU, and we have to add other blocks such as RAM, ROM, IO port, timer, and serial com port, as I told just now, to make it completely functional. Apart from that, it also has the data bus and the address bus. Okay, so this is the microprocessor, the top one. In the bottom one is the microcontroller, in which the CPU, RAM, ROM, IO port, timer, serial communication port, all are present on a single IC, on a single chip. Okay? We need not add RAM, ROM, and other blocks to CPU. Okay? All these are present on a single IC, on a single chip. Hence, the microcontroller is called as a true computer on a chip. Fine. The timer block is nothing but one which is meant to maintain the timing, is it not? So if we want to maintain the timing, right, if we want to check how much time it takes to perform the operation, or how much time has elapsed between two operations, then we require the timer. Serial com port is nothing but a serial communication port, meant for serial communication. There are two types of communications. One is the serial communication, another one is the parallel communication. This serial communication is meant for transmitting the data serially. What is meant by serial communication? Transmitting the bits one at a time. Suppose if there are 8 bits, then all these bits are not sent at a time. If all the 8 bits are sent or received at a time, then it is called as parallel communication. If these bits are sent one after another, first the first bit is sent, and the second bit, third bit, fourth bit, and so on. So such type of communication is called as serial communication. So there are certain, that is serial communication port, it are interfaces, what we call them. So these are the interfaces through which we can perform the serial communication. A microcontroller consists of all features of microprocessor, that is CPU, and also adds other features such as RAM, ROM, IO port, serial com port, timer, and other blocks. Hence, we say that a microcontroller is said to be true computer on a chip. And above all, microcontroller is specific purpose and control oriented. Please note this point. Microcontroller is specific purpose. It is meant for specific applications, and it is also performing the job of controlling. Okay. The instruction set of microcontroller is mainly meant to control the inputs and outputs. So the instruction set of microcontroller is for controlling the inputs and outputs. Right? So that is the main job of microcontroller. The name itself indicates controller or the controlling task. Some of the instructions manipulate the individual bits. In a microcontroller, some of the instructions are meant for manipulating the individual bits. That is, we can read the single bit. So what is meant by a bit? A bit can be either 0 or 1. Yes or no? So we can read the single bit, or we can write the single bit. We can read either 1, or we can write 1. We can read 0 or write 0 into the single bit memory location. That is meant by, what is meant by instructions manipulate the individual bits. Microcontroller is commonly used to control the action of devices. Comparison of microprocessor and microcontroller. Microprocessor is general purpose digital chip, so it is a general purpose, whereas microcontroller is specific, and it is true computer on a chip meant for controlling operations. Microprocessor contains ALU, general purpose registers, stack pointer is nothing but meant for storing the information in the stack memory. Stack memory is a last in first out memory. It is called as LIFO memory, last in first out memory. So for example, if we place the books on a table, right, when we are placing the books, we place one above the another. Yes or no? But while removing, how do we remove the books? The topmost books will remove first, then next, which is below that, will remove next, and so on. Correct. So that is how the stack performs the operation. So that is what is called as a stack memory. So to keep track of the stack memory, to store the information in the stack memory, or to read or write information in the stack memory, we require stack pointer. Program counter is the one which is meant for storing the address of the next instruction to be executed. There are certain instructions, just as you have learned the C language, there are instructions for addition, subtraction, right? You perform the operation of multiplication, division, correct? Then you use the functions. Similarly, there are certain instructions in microcontroller also meant for performing various operations. Okay, so these instructions are stored in memory locations. These instructions are stored in memory locations. So we have to read these instructions during execution. Right? So these instructions, to read these instructions, we store these instructions, or the controller itself, the microcontroller or the microcomputer or the computer will store these instructions in the memory locations. Correct. So when we want executing these instructions, they will be executed one after the another. Right. First instruction is fetched from the first memory location, then it will take the second instruction, then the next instruction, and so on and so forth. So to store the instruction at memory location of the next instruction to be executed, we use the program counter. And clock timing, as I told, it is meant for storing the timing information. And interrupt circuit. Interrupt circuit is, suppose if you are writing the notes, if you are taking the notes in a class, if your friend asks you a pen, okay, then what you will do, you will stop the writing and you will pen. Correct. So your friend is interrupting you. That is the interrupt circuit. So when the microcontroller is executing certain instructions, when it is doing certain tasks, certain jobs, some other job comes to it, right, requesting to perform the operations. If the other job is requesting the microcontroller to perform the operation, then what the microcontroller will do, it will stop the job, whatever it is doing, it will provide the service to the requesting job, and then it will come back and continue with the main program execution or the main task execution. So this is called as interrupt circuit. Clear here? Microcontroller has circuit of microprocessor, and in addition has ROM, RAM, IO port, timers, and serial COM port. So microprocessor is meant for processing the information, and microcontroller is meant for control-oriented applications. In microprocessor, instructions are process-intensive. In microcontroller, instructions are control-oriented. Many instructions are used to move data between memory and CPU in microprocessor, but there are few instructions to move the data between memory and CPU in microcontroller. There are few bit handling instructions, as I told. We can read a single bit or we can write a single bit. So these bit handling instructions are less in case of microprocessor, whereas there are more number of bit handling instructions in microcontroller. So that bit handling instructions is one of the powerful features of microcontroller. Single memory map for both code and data in microprocessor, that part we will pick up next. Right? So in a single memory, we are storing both the program and the data in a microprocessor. But in a microcontroller, we have two different memories. One is meant for storing the program or the code, and the other memory is meant for storing the data. So we have two different memory in case of microcontroller. Less number of pins are multifunctional, whereas more number of pins are multifunctional in microcontroller. Multifunctional means the microcontroller IC is a 40-pin IC, right? So here some of the pins are performing more than one operation. For example, if you take the port number 3, some of the pins of microcontroller, they are performing more than one operation. Right? So they are called as multifunctional. If they perform only one function, one task, then it is called a single function. In microprocessor, less number of pins are multifunctional, whereas in microcontroller, more number of pins are multifunctional. Next, coming on to the von Neumann and Harvard architectures. What are these von Neumann and Harvard architectures? Depending on how the code and the data are stored in memory, the processor architectures are classified into von Neumann architecture and the Harvard architecture. So based on how the code, that is the program and the data are stored in memory, the processor architectures are classified mainly into two types: von Neumann architecture and Harvard architecture. Block diagram of von Neumann architecture. So as we can see in this figure, one is the CPU block, another one is the memory block, that is program and data memory. So as I told, in the von Neumann architecture, both the program and the data are stored in a single memory block. There are no two different memory for von Neumann architecture. In a single memory block, we have to store the code, and in the same memory block, we have to store the data in a sequential fashion. So this is called as the von Neumann architecture. Data, just an example, data is 8 bits and address is of 12 bits. It is a computer architecture in which program and data are stored in common memory space. A common bus is used for accessing both instructions and data. So you can see here in this figure, common bus. Okay, so there is only one address and data bus to read the information from the memory to the CPU and from the CPU to the memory. Okay, so a common bus is used for accessing both instructions and data. Comparison of von Neumann and Harvard architecture. In the von Neumann architecture, there is a single memory space meant for accessing the information, but in the Harvard architecture, there are so von Neumann architecture and Harvard architecture. There are few differences between the two. Von Neumann architecture is a single memory space. Harvard architecture has separate program memory and data memory. Von Neumann architecture single bus. Harvard architecture has separate buses. In von Neumann architecture, not possible to fetch code and data simultaneously. In Harvard architecture, it is possible to fetch the code and data simultaneously. We can read the code and data at the same time. So in von Neumann architecture, execution of instruction takes more machine cycles or more time because it is sequential executions, whereas it is parallel execution in Harvard architecture. So execution of instruction takes less time. So von Neumann architecture sequential execution, in Harvard architecture is parallel execution, parallelism, instruction parallelism. Design is simple and cheap in von Neumann. Design is costly and complex in Harvard. Chances for external corruption of data is more in von Neumann, because in von Neumann, what will happen? There is a single memory space, so the corruption of data is possible in von Neumann because both the data and program are stored in the single memory space. Whereas in Harvard architecture, the external corruption of data is less because two different memories are used, one is data memory and the program memory. Then computers based on von Neumann architecture are called control flow computers. Examples are Intel 8085, Motorola MC 68000, whereas computers based on Harvard architecture are called data flow computers. And examples are Intel 8051 and Motorola MC 68040. So thank you. That's all for today's class. And if there are any questions, then you can ask the questions here. Good, sir. Close question answer class. Any queries from audience?
Any questions from audience? Okay, that's it for today. We'll meet up in the next class. Okay, thank you.
Pamya.
रेकॉर्ड आला होता समोर येतो.
Vedan? Pamya, Vidya ಸತ್ತಾನೇನ?
ये रेकॉर्ड आला होता सुम ಹೋಗು.